teaching in terms of the teaching assistants than when I was a graduate student, for example. One of the things that is a little bit hard about when you're first starting out as a graduate student is that piece. You know, how do you interact with the students? How do you make your way through that? What do you have to know when you go into the laboratory and so on? So we're providing a lot of instruction in that regard. It's a thesis-based program, which means, again, you'll be responsible for the preparation of a thesis. So you come in, you work with a research advisor, you pick the research advisor during your first year, you work with them and develop a research project, and then bring that research project to some level of completion, which is how which is the thesis is the written document associated with that project and the conclusion of that project. So what research have you been able to accomplish, and so on. So that is all developed as part of your thesis, and you have a thesis committee which reviews that document in collaboration with your research advisor, and then that's the publication that results, which is the thesis at the end of your time. So it's about a 2-year program, 33 credit hours. The assumption is you're going to be working about 9 credit hours of coursework and/or thesis research each semester. The teaching assistantship will also cover your tuition for any summer class that you might want to take, but typically that's going to be a thesis research class. But there might be some courses in the summer that might be electives for your program that might be useful to take as well. In terms of what do you do when you get done with a master's degree, right now there's a lot of discussion about graduate education chemistry. There was a recent webinar that was put on by the past president of the American Chemical Society about a program, a project, in fact, that he commissioned on the state of graduate education in chemistry. And one of the problems is that there are a lot of programs that are churning out PhD students with PhDs that don't have positions, don't have jobs when they get done. They're sort of overqualified for a lot of positions. And right now, I think one of the sweet spots in chemistry education is, in fact, a master's degree. You have more responsibility and more understanding of science and how to be a scientist than you do with a bachelor's degree. But you're not sort of overqualified for lots of things. If you go into a startup company, for example, a small company, lots of times the people who develop that technology are the PhDs. They have PhDs themselves. They've been scientists. They've developed a technology. They don't need another PhD because the idea is already there. They need somebody to help manage the laboratory. They need somebody to help manage the projects that are coming up. So they need somebody who's a supervisor, but they don't need somebody with another PhD. So in small companies, a master's degree person is going to be the person that they're going to hire to help bring in and manage the science. Because they're off trying to raise money, trying to develop, money for their projects, trying to make sales, trying to develop, the final products, get them to market, and so on. They need people to help manage the laboratory. So in a lot of small companies, that's the person that I look for. Now, there also is a big need for bench chemists, but a bachelor's degree person doesn't get a lot of opportunity to speak about what projects they think need to be done, because they don't have a lot of training, they don't necessarily understand the science that well, and they're just not in a position to make to have that kind of input into the technology the company's developing. So a master's degree in that way gives you a little bit more supervisory role in the company, and also more money. So a typical starting salary, the difference between a starting salary for a bachelor's degree person and a master's degree person is probably about $10,000 to $15,000 per year. And that's for 2 years input of time, getting a master's degree. The starting salary that you'll begin with is probably $10,000 to $15,000, probably more like $15,000 more per year than you would if you tried to start right off with a bachelor's degree. And that's with sort of current numbers. So there's an advantage to coming out with a master's degree as opposed to a bachelor's degree. You get more say in what's going on. If you're going into the industry, you'll make more money. But you're also, if you've decided I want to go on for a PhD, you're well positioned for that as well, because you're more mature as a scientist. You understand what it means to take a project from beginning to end and end up with a scientific publication, and you understand what research is about. So you're better positioned as a master's degree recipient than a bachelor's degree recipient for going into a PhD program. Now, A typical PhD program is going to take probably 5 years, 6 years, something like that. A master's degree program is going to take 2, so the question might be, well, if I spend 2 years in a master's degree program, am I going to get 2 years off the time it's going to take me to get a PhD? And the answer is probably not. You're probably going to get about a year credit. So, you know, there will be some courses that transfer, there's going to be some courses that won't transfer. But your project that you take on in a PhD program is not going to be the same project that you had as a master's degree person. So there's going to be some, again, you're going to have to kind of start over to a certain extent on the science. But I think it's time well spent, unless you're a really good student and you know exactly what you want to do. In that case, go to the PhD program. Okay, I encourage you to go to the PhD program. Don't take the master's degree first, because there are a lot of very good schools that have a mechanism, and it's fairly common, it's actually the most common, to go from a bachelor's degree to a PhD without an intermediate master's step. Okay, and so that's fine, and there are lots of people that do that. But if you're not quite sure, if you aren't, you know, you don't really know exactly what you want to do yet, you don't know if you want to make a commitment to a PhD program, or you don't know, maybe I'd rather just go into industry, a 2 years, you know, a 2-year stop on a master's degree will not be a bad thing at all. Regardless, you'll make more money when you get out. You'll be more scientifically mature. So it's not, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you're not absolutely certain you want to go get a PhD or go into industry, a master's degree is a good opportunity. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to show you. So this link is not on the poster. This link just takes me to the website. So, I'm not on the internet.
Oh.
It's actually not a big deal. Dr. Alexander's here. He's going to talk about his research. I have a couple of slides I can show you. The website's really easy to navigate. chemistry.kennesaw.edu. Go there, click on it. You guys can all figure out websites. The faculty, I would encourage you to go and look at the people links on those, and then look at the individual faculty members and look at what their research is. We should look at what kinds of things they do. I encourage you to contact them if you're at all interested about their research. I guarantee you, nobody's going to be annoyed. Every scientist likes to have somebody email them and say, hey, I'm interested in your graduate program. Can you tell me a little bit about your research? Absolutely. You know, that's a great email to get. The emails you don't want to get are emails from the chairman wanting more stuff, or some student wanting to change their grade. But a potential graduate student that wants to do research with you, I'll spend half a day talking to that person. So, you know, don't worry about bugging somebody about asking them questions about their research. Everybody's happy to do that.